Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you out there. This is David with Tarot and Astrology for All. Now, I've been really sitting and just contemplating the various different things that were coming to me. And of course, yesterday I was going to do the Libra reading, and for whatever reason, things just didn't work out the way that they were supposed to. So, as a result of that, I decided, well, I'm going to do a reading today. However, it's not just uh, a reading. This is actually a reading for Capricorn. Now, me specifically, I feel like it should have been Capricorn that went first yesterday. However, things happened the way that they happened. So here we are today. Now, this is going to be the reading for Capricorn for this month of December going into the new year. So there's a lot of things going on here at the beginning of the year in 2023 that Capricorns are going to have to be ready for. Now, I feel like major abundance, major transformations are happening. I also feel that not just major transformations, but this really has to do with harvesting, basically reaping what you've sown for a little while now. If you're like anybody that I know, or at least any Capricorns, you would know that us Capricorns have been working rather hard lately. There's a lot of there's a lot of this thing of like taking off your mask, right? Not really taking off your mask, I would say, per se, as in a negative way, but like really removing those things, removing the fantasies, removing the rose-tinted glasses, whatever you want to call it. That's what's been happening lately for you, Capricorn. Not only that, I feel like whatever the situation is, however it's presented itself to you, it's kind of made you lose hope a little bit. But regardless, I feel like you guys are feeling like alchemists now. I feel like in one way, shape, or form, you guys are focusing more on yourselves, and you guys are just taking it slow. So that is actually that's actually very good if you really think about it, Capricorn. And I'm sorry for the noise that's going on. That noise, unfortunately, is on these houses that they've been building for a little while. Something about building, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with this. Who knows? We'll see. All right, so, seems like I've gotten some cards flipped around and mixed up. Mixed up. So that's what the idea here is, mixed up. I think what you're supposed to be doing, Capricorn, is seeing the good and the bad, right? Not only being aware of your harvest, but I feel there's a sense of you having to really take a look at how things are, without the rose-tinted glasses, without anything trying to change your viewpoint, anything trying to muddle or bias your viewpoint. So there's something about a mix on, something about getting your mix on. So for those of you who are musically inclined, get your mix on, right? For those of you who are, I don't know, in something else, try to find a way to mix things, right? Try to mix what would seem as an opposite, what would seem as contrasted to each other. Now, I feel that what you could contrast in one aspect is, how you felt happy and unhappy in the past, and then of course knowing yourself now even more so than you did in the past. You have that ability to kind of begin from a platform rather than trying to start from scratch. I feel like that's also one of those things that's popping through right now. So let's see what happens in your reading, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so yeah, poets. Some of you guys are poets. Some of you guys are getting ready to put some stuff out. For me, I feel like this is pretty relevant. I feel like I've been keeping things hidden, been keeping things towards myself. I feel like a lot of you Capricorns have been doing that too. So Capricorn, I feel like some of you have artistic ability and it's about to come out. And I feel like whatever this artistic ability is, did you see that? This card, well, I mean, you probably didn't see it, but this card went flying out of my hand. So this card is a very, very significant card. Card number 29. 2 plus 9 equals 11. I feel like you have the knowledge within you already. You already understand what this is. You already understand what the energy is useful for. And now it's time for you to let it go, to use it. Now, one of the things about Taum, as you can see, is he has his wings. He has wings, but he has them folded in. He has them folded in neatly. He's organized. He's you know, it might seem like he has a look of sorrow, a look of pensive thinking, but you know, he's actually a pretty pretty calm soul, but he's a very thoughtful soul. So there's that element to it. Now, yes. So it's time to remove things that have been taking up our mind space. I feel, and not just our mind space, but the feeling space. For those of you who have had negative aspects in your life, negative energy that's affected you, I feel like whatever it is, it should be written about. You should be journaling it. You should be writing songs about it. You should be expressing it in whatever it is that you're doing, like your actions. You should express your feelings, and I feel like expressing your feelings will bring you to a sense of completion. But I don't know if any of you have heard that music is like, you know, being able to write down your music is like therapy for you. Well, you're being called to self-therapy yourself, or rather, give yourself the therapy that you need, give yourself the self-care, etc., etc. Now, because I feel very much that, you know, them turning on their trucks and stuff like that at the beginning, I feel like that's what's going on for you right now. There's a sense of loudness, there's a sense of noise. I feel like this is both inner and outer noise. So there's going to be a necessity for you to calm down, relax, bring in the quiet, and that'll allow you to get the messages you need. Uh-oh. So some of these cards are reversed again. So one of the things that I'm drawing from this is not just about balance, but this is definitely about understanding the hard work that you've put in, but also understanding what your harvest is, because and understanding, you know, what it is that you need to build for the future. Harvest seems to be one of those words, reaping what you've sown. I don't really think this is a 7 of Pentacles energy. Doesn't really seem like a 7 of Pentacles energy. I feel like this is more of I feel like this is more of a 7 of Cups energy. 7 of Cups, dealing with your emotions, dealing with what you wish to manifest. I feel like a lot of you Capricorns have the energy of abundance, the energy of Jupiter, and instead of a reset, this is more of like a restart for you. A restart from a better place, if you understand. So at the bottom of it, on the physical world, you just want to be happy. Now, what makes you happy? More than likely what it is that your spirit is telling you, what your spirit is making you feel. And your spirit is trying to remove these negative aspects of your life. But I feel like there's something that you need to do on an everyday level that'll actually bring you towards your personal happiness and actually give you the energy that you need in order to initiate it. I feel like right now there's a period of calm, there's a period of reflection, there's a necessity for you to understand that things are coming to an end, right? So I want to go ahead and just draw the cards. So you have to understand, first off, that things are coming to an end. Now, there is going to be a necessary need for you to initiate a new beginning, obviously. But while things come to an end, you know, there is a necessity for you to actually understand what your dark side is. Now, understanding your dark side, your light side, all of that, you need to understand both those aspects before you can become a very, very powerful individual. And see, you know, we talk about turning things upside on their head. When it comes to topsy-turvy, which if you really take a look at the cards, you know, this is what the cards are based on. This topsy-turvy card, doesn't matter which way you turn it, you know, the faces, they're never really upside down or right side up. I feel that this energy in and of itself is the energy that's describing you. if you really take this into consideration, I feel like regardless of whether you're upside down, right side up, sideways, doesn't really matter. I feel like you, Capricorn, have started to figure out your power. And that's actually a very, very big, significant part of what's going to happen in the next year. So let's go ahead and go to Taom the poet, because Taom is very much calling your name, calling my name, calling for us to transform. And it's the time that we need to pay attention to the song of the universe, and we need to pay attention to what the piper is telling us, because Taom is one of the fairy guides and one of the guardians, and they devote their time and their energy to us. It's basically they're using what they've known or what they've come to find out to help us. Now, these fairy guides also help us to discover the joys of living more harmoniously with nature and with each other and with them. So, as I'm doing this, as I'm going through the journey of reading the book and to understand each of the characters that are placed in this book, I'm starting to understand the joys of life and how to come to a certain sense of harmony. I feel like for some of you Capricorns, if you can maybe even get a hold of this book, even if you don't read, even if you don't do tarot readings or anything like that, I feel like just reading this book alone will help you get in touch with certain aspects of energy. And then, of course, from there, you start to understand each of the characters, and almost as if role playing, you can understand when they're in your vicinity. So, Taom, it speaks about it's an irrevocable change of some kind that comes out of clear sight, but it's erotic energy, it's poetic energy, it's the energy of the artist, and it's if you really take a look at Taom and you look at the book, it says not getting into serious mischief. So there's a necessary need for you to understand how to make use, or how to properly make use of your time, Capricorn. That tends to happen when we are in alignment with ourselves and when we're in alignment with source. A lot of the times when we are not in the right space, we tend to tell ourselves things that aren't true, and then at the same time we start to get into mischief based on those things that we've told ourselves, which is based on a perception that was wrong, it was illegitimate, or it just had no physical basis in reality. So that's why there's a necessary need for clear sight. And of course, before you can begin anything new, there's a necessary need to get your ducks in a row, Capricorn. So for quite a while, as the book author looked at Taom, he really didn't have any clear idea of this character. He looked so serious, so pensive, and so thoughtful, but that wasn't the energy he felt coming from him at all. He had baffled and fooled. Then his son, also a member of the Oracle discussion group, looked at him and noted, but he's wearing a mask. He's laughing at us. So he likes to speed ahead of us, then stand inside a tree and watch us go by, thinking up mischief for us to fall into. Then he flows ahead like a river, but much faster, up over the hills, and lies in wait for us. He's a fine traveling companion if you have a taste for adventure, body songs, high flights of poetic fantasy, and very down-to-earth observations. A fine fella. So, down-to-earth observations. If there's anybody that's closest to the earth energy, that would be you, Capricorn, you, Taurus, and of course, Virgo. So when Taom shows up in a reading, he's suggesting that youthful spirits and energy abound, and we should actually take root of that energy. Now, I feel that some of you have already taken root of that energy. You guys are already functioning off of that energy of understanding that, not just is adventure necessary, but everything that is a part of that adventure plays and factors into how happy you're going to feel. Now, when we think about this whole happiness, not telling ourselves negative aspects of our life, of negative aspects that would bring us down, would bring us into a state of apathy, what's being called for here is to take up that youthful energy that you feel, that youthful energy that you know is around you, and actually use that to help you to become more happy, but in a way that'll also give you more material for your poetry, for your writing, or for whatever it is that you have going on, Capricorn. Now, Taom shows up in the reading for people who have a talent and an inclination for writing, poetry, adventure, fantasy, or anything else. But If there is any one thing that Tom really does get serious on, is his writing. It's his poetry. It's his, because when you take something and you bring it from an intangible source and you bring it into the material world by making it tangible, you're creating things, right? You're a god. But at the same time, it's not just about being a god. That is what's fun about being a god. It's the ability to be able to balance both extremes of life, both extremes of energy, in whatever form it might show up. So, in order for that to happen, my friends, there is a necessity to understand that what you have in your life is a blessing, regardless of how cruel it might seem, regardless of whatever gossip is going on around you. It doesn't really matter if there's people speaking about you, whether they're speaking for you, of you, or against you. And regardless of whether they're curses, whatever it is that they're spitting, whatever it is that they're saying, shouldn't really affect you, Capricorn. What you should do is just continue to do what you're doing and build upon the energy that you're building, because that's going to lead to abundance. So the distasteful task of not just the soul shrinker, but just the energy in and of itself, is to watch what we say about others and what others say about ourselves, and not really caring too much about what they say about ourselves, but you being careful about what you say about others. You know, what you say can curse other people. And then, of course, since the other people aren't aware that they're able to either accept it or deny it, they're just going to take it in, right? They're just readily accepting of whatever it is that other people will tell them. Now, I don't think you have any cruel thoughts. I don't think you have any malicious thoughts. The reason why the soul shrinker came out in the reverse, I am fairly certain, is that yes, there are gossips, there are mean things being said, but I don't think it's coming from you, Capricorn. But it is there for you to observe it and for you to understand why it's there, and then perhaps maybe even find a way to get rid of it. So, the best way to change this is to begin scattering blessings, thank yous, positive feedback, and kind words in all directions. And it actually helps if they're all meant. So, like I was saying, I feel like a lot of you Capricorns are already on this. Like, you know, somebody approaches you with a negative comment or a negative something, you'll be like, hey, you know what? Oh, okay, let's give you an example. You know, you're walking around and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, and then, you know, your significant other or somebody comes up to you and they're like, well, you know what, it's cool that you're doing this, but, you know, how long is it going to take before you get this done, right? That's a negative, that's a negative and malicious comment that could lead you to a place of saying, well, you know what, I'll get to it when I get to it, all right? You shouldn't have to worry about it. You know, that's one way that it could be said. Another way, it could be like, well, if you want it so much, then why don't you do it, right? That's a more extreme version of that. Or, you know, inject that scatter that blessing, those thank yous and all of that in there. What you could do is be like, hey, you know what? I'm involved with this right now, but as soon as I finish this, thank you for reminding me. I'll go ahead and take care of it once I'm done with this, right? That's a better way to approach it. Now, the other person can't approach you with a negative comment, or else it'll be certainly certain that they're like this while you're like this, right? And that's exactly the contrast that I've been reading. It's a light and dark contrast. It's being attacked. It feels like being attacked in a dark way, but then transmuting that feeling into a feeling of love, to where you can share that heart energy with other people. And that would bring stability to your life. Now, one thing that I will read about the soul shrinker is that the soul shrinker is there to help us understand our feelings. It's there to help us understand our thought processes. But the soul shrinker in the reverse, in the feeling space, it basically explains all of it. If you change your fields, if you change the way that you operate on the inside, and you make that known and certain, maybe perhaps you could write it in a song and sing it to your significant other, to your friend. they'll get the idea of whatever it is that you're saying, because one, you've organized your thoughts, two, you've organized your feelings, and three, you have it placed into a material fashion that a person can see it and they'll be like, damn, this person put a lot of thought into it. They organize it in a way where not only can I see it for what it is, but it's in an order and in a fashion that I can actually vibe with it. If I don't care about him or her, whatever, I'm just gonna blow it off, right? But if I do care about the person, and if I do care about what it is that they're saying and the effort that they put into their words to say what they need to say, they have no platform to stand on with whatever negative comment they may have started off with. And it also prevents them from putting a negative comment in the future, because they understand you're not coming from a malicious place. So if we go back to the singers and we go back to Solus, Solus is a card about knowledge. It's a card about consciousness, spiritual empowerment. And then also, if we really think about the singer of initiation, the feline, and understanding your light and dark side, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read the lyrics that I just recently came up with. I feel like you guys will understand this perfectly, and who knows, maybe this might end up being a song that you guys vibe with. So all right, so it says, or so this is how it starts off, and I'll just go ahead and play it so that you guys can okay, hold on real quick. All right, yeah, spiritual empowerment. Look, we all have a light side and a dark side, and each side has its uses. Essentially, a positive and a negative, a north and a south pole, and what appears to be opposing energies. Reality is made as a result of this energy dancing within this isolated system. Uncanny how we have the skill and ability to gather plasma like miasma. It's impossible to miss them. All right, so that's just an idea, just to give you guys something that I've been writing lately. Now, this light side and this dark side, you know, the contrast between, let's say, noise and quiet, you know, this is what the universe is trying to show you. It's trying to show you both sides so that you can understand where the balance is in the middle. So, as with the sun and Solus, it stands midway between the realm of the singers and that of manifest reality. So this is exactly what this whole reading has been upon, in between, you know, the space in between the peanut butter and the jelly, right? The jelly and the peanut butter and the jelly in between the bread. That's what this reading is about. Now, the realms of fairy, this world, and other realms and dimensions is what this card specifically is talking about. And the singers, they dwell in the cosmos without boundaries or differentiations, but we and the fairies live in worlds where there are limitations to overcome and boundaries to identify and expand, which help us to grow. Now, this, whatever your situation is helping you to grow by putting you in a state of pressure. It's putting you into a state of dis-ease, I guess you could say. Not really in a state of disease, but dis-ease, right? A situation where it's not so positive and happy, because it's showing you your strengths, and it's also showing you the power of your heart and your will. So, when we don't know what we need or who to turn to, Solus will help us if we ask. So there's something about asking the universe as well. Using your words, understanding how to connect and to communicate with Source. So when we don't know how to ask for that help, we just ask Solus or Source and Solus would help us. To an Oracle group member, Solus said, "Allow the surface noise to fade. I am here waiting." So, as you can see, allow the surface noise to fade, and when the surface noise fades, the knowledge will come in. You know, pay attention to your surroundings. Everything is giving you a sign. So Solus encourages us to stand on our own feet, to recognize and utilize our own wisdom, to depend on our own strength, and to acknowledge and work with our own good qualities, using them as stepping stones to improve the less good, to improve the less good. So one thing that I will draw from my song, if you take a look at the chorus right there, don't know if you could see it, but it says, wisdom, wisdom, knowledge you can't piss on, give it to you religiously like this was Islam. This one is one, never want to diss on this if you wish, but I'ma get my mix on. So like, you have to use your wisdom. There's only so much that a person can guide you, right? But you're gonna have to use your wisdom and everything that you've been taught from that point to move forward on it. With faith in the human spirit, Solus sees us as arrows fired from a bow, choosing our own directions and soaring into undreamed of heights, empowered by trust and by creative life force. That's exactly what this reading is talking about, in the sense that Solus is asking you to radiate yourself, radiate your light, radiate your emotions, radiate your thoughts, express yourself. The presence of Solus in this reading often indicates that something new is beginning or being brought into being into our lives, partly through our own efforts and partly through the help we receive from other realms. Miracles may take place, movement into the light is occurring, and it is a time for taking action, passing on our blessings and learning and service given from a position of strength, right? So we were talking about a platform. We were talking about a position of some sort, understanding who you are and what coalesces into who you are and what you are. So this right here is talking about understanding your own power and understanding what makes you happy, and also understanding how you tend to curse yourself and how other people tend to curse you by you accepting whatever it is that they're bringing your way. Now, I don't know why I was going to draw the animal spirit cards, but maybe there's something in that. So we'll have to go ahead and pay attention more closely to the animal spirits when they come out. Now, there are messages and there is a specific union that's happening, but I feel like this is a union between you and your own power, your own energy, and understanding your power and your energy. Doesn't matter whether it's noisy or quiet, doesn't matter whether it's in the day or in the night, doesn't matter whether it's something that's like creating extreme pressure or it seems free, pressureless. So so this is what you're headed towards, Capricorn. This card fell out, but I feel like that's what this reading is about, renewal. I feel very much that whatever it is that you've been doing lately, and maybe even the process of writing down your feelings and manifesting your feelings into reality so that you could change them and actually change things for the better, is what this is about. I very much feel it's a union, and that's one thing that I was getting yesterday too, was union, unity, and then I was also getting a hunger for something, a certain sense of hunger, a certain sense of like not wanting to wait anymore. Like you've been waiting far too long. You've been waiting 1 minute too long. And now it's time for you to move forward on it, Capricorn. Now let's see what else we can get as far as clarification from this, because I feel like this is pretty spot on already. But let's see what more information can come through. Ooh. What is this? Oh, all right. So that is that's in the thought space. All right. So I had just gotten that card. I had gotten the feeling for it, and so this kind of this actually fell out with it as well. It fell off in a different direction than the Lovers in the reverse. The Lovers in the reverse can explain a certain sense of maybe a connection that is no longer helping you. Maybe this connection, in what sense, whatever shape, sense, or form, is actually providing you with more material. I mean, that could be useful. I feel like whatever that material is something based on the struggles that you've been through. It's also based on maybe how defensive you may be feeling, maybe understanding that life is a struggle, and that all it is just looking for something else to to come along that's going to ruin the good things in your life. That's negative thinking. That's pessimistic thinking. That's Capricorn thinking at the unconscious level. Now, because of that, I feel like this is your energy right now for some of you. I feel like some of you feel like you can't make forward movement. I feel like you guys are paying attention too much to those little specific details as opposed to paying attention to the larger portion of life that's going on, the larger aspect, the larger cycle. So this right here, this is what you should be looking like, right? But this is how things are at the moment for some of you. I feel that as you start to understand, hey, I don't need to be defensive about this. I don't need to be defensive about that. I need to stop carrying this weight for other people. I need to stop carrying other people's secrets. I need to stop doing this. I need to stop doing that. As you start to purge all of that from your energy, from your being, from your life, what ends up happening is you start to encompass more of this energy here. Now, if it is a significant other that is not allowing you to really tap into your inner self, then you, Capricorn, are going to have to take a look at that and see whether that is a positive aspect, whether it does more good than harm. And if it does more good than harm, then try to find a way to live with it in balance. Try to use those negative aspects that maybe come through as a way to write a song, right? Take stock of those things that you're being told and then allow that to become your material. And then, of course, don't care about what that other person might say, because them reacting to it might actually show you something specific about that person that you didn't know before, that now, having the knowledge upon that, can help you to understand that, oh, I can actually use this to my advantage. And oh, well, if I'm trying to use this to my advantage to change myself in a positive way, well, let me bring this up to the person so that they too can undergo the same transformation as well. Now, something about them not being on the same frequency, them not believing the same things that you've been believing, you understanding the greater aspects of what it means to be a creator. I feel like the other person isn't really understanding that. They have their own beliefs. They run counterproductive to your own beliefs, is what I'm feeling on this. Now you have to see if they're running counter to your beliefs, is that something that you want to be involved in? See, because you're being called to, technically you could do this strategically, but you're being called not to do this in a secretive manner. What you're being called to do is you're being called to express yourself in a manner that is not ill, in a way that doesn't speak ill of another person, in a way that doesn't speak ill of whoever it is that you might be dealing with. Because when we think about it and we dwell too much on it, we tend to build resentment. So there's a necessary need for this to be thought of in a clear headspace, and with clear indication of what it is that you tend to or that you wish to express in it, and be clear about whatever it is that you're looking to express, because the hermit doesn't just go into hermit mode just to go into hermit mode. The hermit goes into hermit mode to find out what it is that it actually is making it unhappy, what it is that's actually putting it into a state of fear, into a state of abandonment, into a state of feeling like they're alone, right? So I feel very much that there is a necessity to really think about the situation, but in a clear head. You don't want to be in this state when you're thinking about various different things, because this right here will cause you to make bad decisions. They'll cause you to make decisions that make things even worse, and at the same time, it's just going to keep you up even more. It's not going to lead to personal happiness. It's going to lead to personal dishappiness. All right. So let's finally draw a card, Spirit. I know all this extra information is useful, and you do it however you wish, universe, but come on. Okay, so this is basically what the universe is trying to lead you to. It's trying to lead you towards balanced emotions. you taking a look at your emotions, you understanding your emotions, you being in a place of understanding your dark side, right? To understand what you need to move forward on and how you need to take action in your life so that it leads you to a Four of Wands energy, so that it leads you to happiness. It leads you to some kind of harvest. Now, that's what this reading is partially about, right? It's about a harvest. Understanding that the hard work you've put in some way, shape, or form, should lead you to some type of harvest that's going to lead to happiness. Now, something that hopefully doesn't lead you to feeling weak, right? To feeling like you can't fight for your position. Um, so hopefully something that doesn't lead you to always having to look at whether you're doing something that could benefit you. Um, Feeling like there's a this for that, right? Like, um, I feel like this is the way that this is a choice, either for you to just be like totally stuck on something and just like watching whether something is gonna go bad for you, or you could be in this energy here where you could be like, okay, I don't want to worry about my money, and I don't want to worry about my position, and I don't want to worry about how I am trying to present myself, and I definitely don't want to worry about heartbreak. I feel like that's what's at the bottom of this reading is failure and avoiding it, which is a good thing. I feel like not thinking about the failure is the proper way to do it. Not thinking about the failure, focusing on the more positive aspects, and just being true to yourself. As you're true to yourself, you'll be true to other people. You won't want to lie to them. You won't want to try to like mislead them in any way. Basically, you're gonna be like this, where you're always looking for the opportunities, and you're always looking for whatever it is that is you're always looking and thinking in a positive manner, so that whatever intuitive thoughts you have come to your head, you can actually move forward on them. I want to go ahead and draw another card on that one, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw another card on the Seven of Swords in the reverse. All right, so this is what you're looking for, right? The Sun, Solus, because when you do things in a powerful way, and you do things in a way that is visible to others, where there's no secrecy, there's no need to try to sneak around. What ends up happening is you have a situation that changes for the better. You have situations that change because other people see where you're coming from, because there's discernment that's shown to them, and they see and they feel your energy. So from that, they want to become a part of it. They actually want to join in. They want to be conducive to that energy, and because they too may be feeling unhappy as well, and they see that you have the ability to change that. So let's see what that other okay, so yeah, there is a judgment. I feel like you've already made that judgment on your part. You want to be happy. Essentially, I feel like you're tuning into that Cups energy. I very much feel that what's at the bottom of the reading is that you don't want to feel like this anymore. You don't want to feel like you're being breadcrumbed. You don't want to feel like you're being left out in the cold. You don't want to feel like your money's being used for nothing, right? You don't want to feel like your emotions are just being used for nothing. You want some type of change, and because what's at the middle of this is that passion, forward movement, bravery, all of that. All of that is in the middle of this reading. And understanding that you need to make that decision to make yourself happy, regardless of whether you're in a situation or not that has, let's say, a significant other involved. You make yourself happy, and is you who is going to decide how that takes place. All right, so here we are. We're going to the Rider Tarot Waite. So bring out that inner poet. And actually, if you wish to express something about your relationships, whether it's a significant other, whether it's friendships, acquaintances, or things like that, I feel like a lot of you have the lyrical propensity to be able to put it into a song. And just that act of putting it into a song, and just maybe even having a beat or something like that, not even like a fully completed song, will lead to your transformation. And it'll lead to something positive in your life, honestly. I feel like you're being watched by the universe. The universe has its eye on you. It's time for you to express yourself. It's time for you to expand your energy outward, and it's time for you to end this cycle of suffering. I feel that this cycle of suffering has provided you with a lot, not just a cycle of suffering, but everything that was encompassed in this cycle has given you all the material you need for at least the next decade. So, Dragonfly, discernment, clarity, that's what's being sought at this time. That can only be reached by understanding that you need to be grounded. And by being grounded, you actually have the ability to follow the intuitive messages of the universe. And of course, you got to read between the lines too. I feel like there's a necessity to really pay attention to the cycles going on in your life. That cycle is going to be something that's going to show you the past, the present, and the future. At the same time, for some of you guys, it might destabilize you, but I think at the same time, it's going to give you a full knowledge of whatever it is that you need to know at this time. Bravery, strength, courage, all of that is being asked for at this time. That bravery and that courage is going to lead for you. It's going to lead to you making positive judgments, and it's also going to lead to some type of message coming to you. Some type of message. Not exactly sure, but whatever that message is, it's going to be coming from groups outside of you. You're gonna have to have some ability to make a discernment of what's positive, what's negative, and then also to understand what's true and what's false. And then also that's gonna come from your networks. I already knew that. I feel like you knew that already too. Right now, you're being called to network. You're being called to talk to other people, and you're being called to understand that you have all sorts of blessings at your fingertips. You just need to take action on them. So let's go ahead and read the book to see why these 3 cards are here. And then from there, we'll roll the die, and that'll be the end of the reading for you, Capricorn. The bottom of the reading, I'm going to read the fire ant first. I feel like that's necessary because we need to understand this fire energy and where this fire energy is coming from. And then we'll have the ability to undo whatever it is. Aggression, rigid thinking, following orders. Okay, so following orders, or rather I should say following a specific type of order, rigid thinking, aggression, these are all negative aspects of a person, of their life. Technically, these are all negative aspects of what could happen when Mars is positive, right? But at the same time, if we don't have the ability to self-care for ourselves, we might have this aggressive energy. I feel like part of this happiness thing is probably going to play a role in the near future of how people approach you. Some of them will approach you with the happiness that you portray because they actually feel that you are happy and they see that you're happy on the physical level. And a lot of this has to do with whatever it is that you've learned. But fire and energy flares up without us noticing, and it's the force that attracts us to people and situations that feed our imbalances rather than those that counter them. Gossiping and blaming are a few indicators that misaligned fire ant energy is at play. So watch really what you say to other people. Watch what they're saying about you. You can actually turn that energy into a positive aspect for you. You may also find yourself stewing on a person or a situation, only making things worse. I mentioned that at the beginning. How can you break free from the drama and cool down? Fire ants are surprisingly sensitive. Don't pretend the heat isn't getting to you. So when it's in balance, it's thoughtful and it's disciplined. And when it's out of balance, it'll seek to argue. It'll have excess heat, right? And to bring this into alignment, spend time by yourself. Also, spend time walking out at night. Remember, I was mentioning that whether it's daylight or whether it's dark, there should be a necessity for you to understand both extremes. And then as you're understanding both extremes, it allows you to understand how best to move forward in the middle, right? So that is a very, very strong message there. There is a necessity for you to ground yourself, all right? So let's move on to the dragonfly energy, and we will see what the dragonfly energy is trying to portray here. So the master of light, illusion, and the mind. So the dragonfly is an ancient and ethereal creature that awakens a sense of wonder and awe. The dragonfly is a symbol of the mind, and it is always moving, shifting, shimmering, and changing. When the dragonfly card appears, it's worth considering the quality of your mind and perception. Are they restless or still? Dreamlike or crystal clear? The situation at hand may be different than it appears at first glance. And the dragonfly reminds us to calm the mind so the light of wisdom can shine through. I mean, shit. It that might be interesting, right? To do an ASMR or something like that of these readings. Just show you the card, let your intuition bring you the message. I don't know. Maybe I might try that just to see, just to test it out and see how you guys react to it. I want you guys to be able to put your comments into the comment box when you see that. And then I'll also make sure to put it in the description too when I make a video like that. So when it's in balance, it sees clearly, joyfully, and it's magical. And when it's out of balance, it can't concentrate and it has a busy mind. So focus on your breath. That'll help you to understand how to calm your energy so that you can hear the messages from source. Now, as you calm your energy, what tends to happen is you're patient, you're regal, and essentially you're a complete master of your own energy. So the lion is a master of the fire element. Obviously, we were talking about fire right now. And the living mascot of self-transformation. I also mentioned that too. A lion personality dictates to personal and spiritual growth. So if you dedicate your life to this, it'll be inspiring, but it'll also be intimidating to others. So that's how we get that hating energy going on. And so as it intimidates other people, therefore the lion is respected by all, but is known intimately by few. Some mistake the lion as hard to access or aloof. Yet those with the keener eye know better. Lions are observant, stealth, and precise in their words and actions. Something about the words here. I mean, do you guys get the message? Do you guys understand what's being said here? Do you understand the presage? They do not waste energy or resources. Neither do you, Capricorn. I think when it comes to resourcefulness and understanding resources and how to use them, you along with Taurus and Virgo would be fairly understanding of that. But it reminds us that self-mastery is available to all, no matter where our quest begins. So whether you're starting off new or whether you're starting off from a higher platform, a better platform, but it feels new, that's what's being called for here. Is supposed to be the pinnacle and the epitome of peace and strength. That's what you're being called to develop, or that's what you're developing already. I feel like a lot of you guys have already found this. Like I said, this whole reading has been an energy of some of you Capricorns still haven't figured that out, and a good majority of you Capricorns have. Reading in between the lines, understanding your own emotions, right? These are all things that I'm drawing out of these lines, right? Understanding, the contrast, understanding the difference, understanding the balance. That's what this whole reading is about. Understanding your balance. And the reason why you've been tossed into a situation where it feels off balance is because you're supposed to find your balance. Now, if things get too serious, if things get too hectic, if things get too aggressive, you'll know you're out of balance when you withdraw from the situation, when you don't show strength, and when you're too serious about the situation. So Taoam the poet is asking us, hey, you know what? Don't look at this thing so seriously. Go ahead and write about it. Go ahead and write down your feelings. Go ahead and look at write it down and journal it, and then look at it later and see just how ridiculous your emotions behind it were. So with that, I feel like all the information there has been shown and has been spoken. Yeah, now that brings into mind the reason of why the singer of initiation is in the reverse. There's a necessary need for you to find your strength before you actually initiate anything new or anything following. All right, so pay attention to your values and your spiritual morals, right? Pay attention to what it is that's you. Pay attention to what makes you and what creates you to its fullest and most clearest definition of who you are. What ends up happening is that you actually start to shine as your full Capricorn self, and the only thing left to do from there is to communicate from a place of truth. Pay attention to the things you love, pay attention to your intuition, and pay attention to the things that make you a unique individual, that make you Capricorn, that make you whoever you are. Whether it's you, Sarah, whether it's you, Tommy, whether it's you, Jose, whether it's you, Shaniqua, doesn't matter who you are. Make sure that everything that you do is clear, is transparent, is specific to who you are. And also, as you do this, you tend to head away from your South Node energies. 5, changes are upon you guys. There's a lot of change going on for you. And a lot of this change is meant for you to make some forward upward movement. This change, this forward upward movement is meant to give you stability in your everyday surroundings, your everyday reality. So pay attention to these changes. Pay attention to your choices. Make sure that they're based off of your values and your own spiritual knowledge. If you need more spiritual knowledge, do that. Start reading books that help you to encompass empathy, that help you to encompass compassion, that help you to encompass unconditional love. And I feel that you'll benefit very, very greatly from that, Capricorn. So with that being said, let's look at your astrology, right? We almost forgot the astrology. We'll go ahead and see how this ties into your reading. All right, so in your first house, you have Pluto. A lot of changes taking place. These changes are there to open up the doors to new networks. And this is also going to help you to understand how to cut things out of your network when you know they're not conducive to you. Saturn in second house. Be careful about how you be careful about your expression right now. Be patient with the expression of other people. They're trying to show you something. And of course, when you think about your choices, your actions, your values, and all of that, be patient in how you develop them. This whole time period has been there to show you about who you really are. And that just doesn't happen at the snap of a finger. It takes time. Third house, you have Neptune, you have Jupiter, and you have the moon. The moon, I believe, is in a quarter phase right now. So the first quarter of the moon is basically energy moving into action, getting prepared for the full moon. This energy here is asking you to focus on your dreams, and it's also asking you to focus on how you can expand and encompass your dreams. For some of you, that might be, or for any of you that have the energy on the cusp between Pisces and Aries, there's a certain sense of something in here, a certain sense of how would I say, a certain sense of energy that you can find between the contrast of one thing and another, as I've been mentioning, light and dark. Maybe during the twilight hours is where you can find out this information, but there's a certain sense of something for a very, very minute few of you that have the MC within the last degrees of Pisces or within the first degree of Aries, that has the ability to expand whatever it is that you're looking to make. There's a certain sense of something that you know within your own spiritual knowledge, and not just your own spiritual knowledge, but your own values that you can push forward into the world and actually create something that can bring you abundance and wealth in the form of money specifically. Fourth house, you have Chiron. Be careful with how your interactions at home are. We did have the lovers here, and we had the lovers with Taom. So when it comes to your home, when it comes to your family, and if there's any people in your vicinity that are causing you to become negative or to have that negative energy injected into you, don't pay attention too much to it. Try to scatter blessings. If somebody's like, oh, well, thank you for not doing this, or thank you for not taking out the trash when I told you, or thank you for not washing the dishes, or whatever, right? Whenever they approach you with that energy, be like, you're welcome, babe, and thank you for your attitude, and it's helping me to see you in a better light. Now, when you do that, watch for their reactions. It's not gonna be your typical reaction. And actually, that contrast right there, there's two different ways in which they can react. One, they could be like, right? They react in a negative manner. That shows where they're coming from. That shows that they weren't in a positive light, and that actually shows you where you're coming from too, right? Or you could be like, um, or they could respond to you and be like, ah, that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Well, you know what? Regardless of whether you threw that out right now or whether you're gonna throw it out here in a minute, I love you regardless, right? You see how that whole interaction can actually have a different impact on the person and their energy, as opposed to you responding with one thing, them responding for another thing, and then boom, resentment is created between you two. So there's a certain sense of knowledge, there's a certain sense of unlocking the key that can happen when you have Chiron and Aries. Pay attention to the things that trigger you and the things that make you mad within your home. 5, what's going to lead you to personal happiness, and what's also going to lead you to a sense of understanding who you are, is this. So as you see, over here you have Uranus in Taurus, and you have the North Node right there next to it. You can't make this stuff up, but sorry for making this reading so much. But if you see, there's Uranus right there. I don't know if you can tell. It's like right there, right where Venus and the moon are. And then you have Taurus right there, right? So what's being called of you is the energy of understanding your unique self, the energy of understanding what your values are and what your morals are, and understanding your own perspective to the T, right? Because then what ends up happening, and this is something that you're going to be doing that you're going to be doing for fun. This is a way of actually finding out who you are and your purpose, right? I feel many Capricorns out there have already figured out what their purpose was. So for those of you who haven't yet, pay attention to this part of your reality. Pay attention to the things that trigger you, and pay attention to the things that make you a unique person and that actually fall in line with your morals and your values. Because what's happening right now is you're discussing how to make forward movement with Mars in your 6th house in Gemini. There's a lot of you that are communicating with people. You guys are trying to find out various different answers. You're trying to find clarity, because that sun card, or soulless energy, it doesn't really, it's not something that just pops into your reality and then you're like, wee, woohoo. No, you have to work at it, right? So that's what you're doing. You're trying to find out how to create that peace in your life so that it continues on and allows you and other people to build. Now, Mars in Gemini in retrograde, and then you have Mercury, Venus, and the Sun in your 12th house. There is a necessity for you to understand that right now you're building up what's necessary to be expressed. That's going to happen here probably within about 3 to 4 weeks, maybe somewhere between 3 to 6 weeks for some of you, and maybe 2 months out from now for others of you. This, whatever it is, it's going to be something beautiful, and it's something that you've been thinking about for a while, and it's connected to something that you've been doing that you know intuitively is something that your heart wants you to do, and it's something that you have fun doing, regardless of whether you get paid for it or not. So that's what this is focused on. That's the direction that your life is headed in. I actually like doing this and reading it afterwards, because I feel like it's very clear. So with that is the end of your reading, Capricorn. For those of you who resonate with this message, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, hit the notification bell for more videos. And as always, if you guys find this will be useful for somebody else, go ahead and share it. And I will go ahead and see you guys on another video. The last one for this month will be Libra. So stay safe, stay free, and I will see you on the next video.